Welcome to Survival Guide to Automotive Innovation in 2021. Don't forget to open your cameras. We'll be happy to see you all.
Hyundai Motor Group's Global Open Innovation Hub. Hyundai CRADLE. CRADLE is the spearhead of global open innovation for Hyundai Motor Group, embracing the future technologies that will improve the quality of life for everyone. Focusing on a wide range of key technology areas such as mobility, electrification, connectivity, autonomy, hydrogen, robotics, AI, and more. CRADLE seeks to support and create new businesses by leveraging synergies between these technology areas. CRADLEs are located in Silicon Valley, Tel Aviv, Berlin, Beijing, and Singapore, together with 01 platform that covers open innovation activities in Korea. CRADLE's mission is to drive global disruptive innovation. Each CRADLE plays a vital role in building an innovation partner ecosystem in its dedicated region, providing visibility to the latest regional industry trends, evaluating a wide range of cutting-edge technologies through proof-of-concept projects with startups and R&D, and ultimately executing strategic partnerships and investments with the most promising innovation partners across the local region. With partners across the globe, CRADLE is strengthening Hyundai Motor Group's open innovation efforts and contributing to the growth of a sustainable mobility ecosystem with the essence of human-centered innovation.
Welcome to Hyundai CRADLE's Survival Guide to Automotive Innovation in 2021. Please welcome Yariv Hammer.
Hello and welcome to Hyundai CRADLE's virtual event Survivor Guide to Automotive Innovation. We are at the dawn of a second wave of innovation in the automotive industry, and we have learned a lot from the first wave. We would like to share our learnings with you, as well as talk to innovators and investors who have been there. Hyundai CRADLE is Hyundai Motor Group's global innovation hub, where we spearhead open innovation and drive global disruption. You will hear from our VP, Dr. Yansuang Wang, Head of Open Innovation Investment Group and our leader. I can tell you from personal experience that Dr. Wang lives and breathes innovation and is a beacon within Hyundai culture to try new things, evaluate new ways to innovate, and especially is a good friend to Israel. We focus on future technologies to improve quality of life in areas of mobility, electrification, connectivity, autonomy, hydrogen, robotics, AI, smart factory, UAM, smart city, and logistics. We create synergies between these technology areas and the different units of Hyundai Motor Group, business and R&D units. Nearly a decade has passed since the early days of innovation in the automotive space. Not all startups survive the long journey. OEMs and Tier 1s have taken their time to assess technologies, and regulations have not always been as fast as expected. A special type of startup is needed to go through this long cycle of innovation. One that endures, one that is resilient, one that can try again and again, and one that generates more value with each small success. We will hear the perspectives of Hagai Ziz from Autotalks, our portfolio company, Moran Price from IRP Systems, and Dana Teigman-Koren from our partner Quantum Hub. As it is, our industry is not among the fastest. The addition of COVID-19 to the mix has slowed down the market and further delayed autonomous vehicle promise. At the same time, it has also provided an opportunity to try out new models. It is no longer enough to build a point solution. No matter how sophisticated, to raise the bar, you need to think business value, ecosystem, and full solution. We will learn from Itai Ben-Gad of MDGo, our portfolio company, how they repositioned their startup to insurance. Shirley Kalush of Go2Global, how they built a sustainable mobility solution. David Oren of UVI, another portfolio company, how they built a full automation standalone solution. And Dr. Tal Cohen of Drive TLV, with whom we share several startups in our portfolio. Investors today are looking for companies that will survive the journey and overcome the challenges. Only the most unique and comprehensive stories will be selected. We will learn from Eyal Niv of Pitango, Meir Dardashti of Maniv Mobility, and Idan Katz of Mobilion VC. At Hyundai CRADLE, we sense and scout the ecosystem for the most relevant technologies. Hyundai's main selection criteria is strategic value. Therefore, we conduct a POC, proof of concept, with the startups and the business unit before each investment. We only make investment decisions after a successful POC and with the support of the business. We have 16 companies in our portfolio in Israel. I will share a few examples and Dr. Wang will further elaborate. Due to the length of the presentation, I apologize to our portfolio companies that were not mentioned. UVI is doing a visual inspection of the vehicle automatically. Hyundai CRADLE invested in UVI after conducting a POC in Israel over Zoom, and now the system is being deployed in our Czech Republic facility. You will hear from David Oren later on. We made the investment in Autopia after they were selected by our Motional joint venture. We have more than one portfolio company participating in the Robotaxi project of Hyundai, set to launch in 2023 in partnership with Lyft. CRADLE introduced Autopia to more units in Hyundai, in Autonomous Driving Center and Hyundai Mobis. And Autopia participated in our Quantum Spark program, on which I will further elaborate. Gauzy is a smart glass technology and one of the first companies in our global portfolio to have a mass production plan with the Genesis brand. What a remarkable achievement for an Israeli startup. With Gauzy, you can set the window dark or bright with the push of a button. H2 Pro is a unique story where Hyundai CRADLE invested from day one in a project that was started through our partnership with the Technion. H2 Pro is producing cheap hydrogen fuel using a method of splitting water, which is 95% more efficient, safe, and cost competitive than fossil fuel hydrogen. The company today is backed up by some industry giants. Hyundai CRADLE is not only about investments. Our open innovation ecosystem in Israel enables us to bring more value to our internal business units. Through our network of partners, we have the capabilities to execute POCs in Israel on our very own POC platform provided by Talcar, Kia distributors in Israel, or our accelerator program partners, Quantum Hub and CityZone. We work with leading investors to create the deal flow, our partners Maniv Mobility and Pitango. And through the 01 program led by our Seoul HQ partners, we have access to over 100 challenges every year from our different business units. We already conducted or in process of executing many POCs, some of which I will mention now. Apollo Power, an Israeli tech company specializing in flexible solar panels, will demonstrate its technology in Hyundai's headquarters during the OI launch in just 2 weeks. In a year-long project with Quantum Hub, we applied a solar film to the bonnet of a Hyundai Sonata. The results were presented to our internal partners in the advanced electrification team in R&D. And the technology is not only lightweight and efficient, but it can also fit on parts of the car that are curved. Electrion was chosen to participate in the 01 Internal Innovation Program to test dynamic wireless charging. We are currently preparing for the second phase of a project in Israel using our own POC platform. We will show how the battery car can be charged while driving by leveraging road infrastructure. Arbe is our portfolio company through the AI Alliance Fund. Together with Mobis AD Center, we have defined a POC to test Arbe's 4D radar technologies in a variety of ADAS and safety scenarios. Our experienced team is eager to work with startups and members of the ecosystem to generate value through projects which could lead to new investments or business collaborations. Thank you, and I hope you will enjoy the sessions. I now welcome Dr. Yan Seong Wang, Head of Open Innovation in Hyundai Motor Group, to share Hyundai's vision for innovation.
Please welcome Dr. Wang.
Good afternoon. It is my honor to give a speech in front of innovation leaders of Israel, our partners, and CRADLE Tel Aviv members. My name is Yoon-Sung Hwang. I'm responsible for open innovation for Hyundai Motor Group, supporting business units or subsidiary companies to collaborate with startups and innovators of the world. We are working with them through strategic investment, accelerator programs, POCs, joint development, and various open innovation events. Today, I'd like to share the vision of OI activities of Hyundai Motor Group with you. Before looking into Hyundai's future vision, let's start with the transformation taking place in the industry. The history of the auto industry is fascinating, filled with lots of innovations. Over more than 100 years, it inspired other industries to create countless innovations. But the transformation we are seeing today is much bigger and more profound, and the direction of the change is clear. The integration of software, connectivity, AI, electric power, and new business models. Most of these elements are not coming from the auto industry itself. Rather, they are coming from many other industries, and geographically coming from the innovation epicenters like Israel. On this road of industry transformation, I think Hyundai Motor Group is one of the leading players. Hyundai launched HMG Strategy 2025, comprised of 2 business pillars, 3 strategic directions, and 4 business strategies. 2 business pillars are Smart Mobility Device and Smart Mobility Service, which produce together comprehensive solutions. Our strategic direction is composed of being more profitable in conventional business, securing top-tier leadership in EV and FCEV pure cell EV market, and building a strong platform for service. Now let me elaborate more about the smart mobility devices with these 4 main solutions. First, we have eGMPs, Hyundai's EV platform. I think you will see the advantage that the combination of seasoned car-making expertise and the innovation power creates. HMG also develops purpose-built vehicles and urban air mobility. PBVs and UAMs will vitalize the cities by redefining urban mobility. They will provide finely customized service for every purpose and every situation, including the needs of people with disabilities. Finally, we are broadening the definition of robotics. The group's technology includes wearable, service, and delivery robots. This is because we believe that advanced and human-centered robotics can deliver us more convenient, safe, and enjoyable lifestyle, even enhancing our dignity and intrinsic values. To secure innovative technologies for battery EVs, Hyundai is making continuous effort to seek collaboration opportunities with startups. To accelerate development of high-performance EVs, commercial EVs, and next-generation EVs, Hyundai partnered with companies of outstanding capabilities in respective fields. These are just a few examples of investment and partnership pursued by Hyundai as a part of our OI strategy. Hyundai targets to fully equip the group's commercial vehicle lineup with fuel cells by 2028. Vision FK, a concept H2-powered sports car, and trailer drone are 2 concepts that can represent Hyundai's vision for the H2 wave. CRADLE drone concept is a H2-powered container transportation system capable of unmanned operation for long-distance logistics. Its e-buggies allow exceptional maneuverability through sideway movement. Continuing our group's pioneering commitment to clean and sustainable energy for all types of mobility, we will realize our vision of the H2 wave, hydrogen for everyone, everything, and everywhere. Now let's move on to the second business pillar of HMG Strategy 2025, the Smart Mobility Service. By 2025, Hyundai will develop an integrated mobility service platform and promote mobility businesses on a global scale to lay the foundation for the future. In terms of global business development, we are taking various approaches around the world, taking Hyundai's capabilities and regional market conditions into account. Global business operation outreach is taking place beyond the borders in the most effective form for each case. In the course of pursuing human-centered innovation for years, Hyundai developed a unique OI platform called 01. In this platform, innovation is led by three factors: technology, business, and art. This is how it works. We sponsor and work with artists or creators who have great capability to sense what people really want deep inside and vividly imagine future society. They share insights, ask questions, and reflect on our lives. The issues or problems identified in the course of a collaboration with creators are answered with the startup's technology that quickly respond and deliver novel solutions. When startups' technologies meet the cooperations, the solutions are implemented to our lives. This is how the innovations for our customers and society are created. To expand our space of collaboration across the globe, Hyundai has been installing innovation hubs called CRADLE. Starting with CRADLE Silicon Valley back in 2011, we opened the fifth CRADLE in Singapore 2 months ago. These 5 CRADLEs are located in the innovation epicenters of the world. When we opened CRADLE Tel Aviv in 2018, it started as an investment office. Now it covers almost all spectrums of open innovation activities. 01 platform and CRADLE together complete the systematic innovation. By aligning the internal needs with the seeds sourced by creators from the startups, VCs, and academia around the world, we have managed to organize cross-company OI capabilities into an open innovation platform. More than 100 internal business units, including divisions from the headquarters, subsidiaries, and overseas branches, have taken part in the 01 Open Innovation Committee. They carry out workshops, POCs, joint development, and investment with various outside innovators. 01 creators, Hyundai Accelerator teams, investment teams, M&A team, and event education functions are supporting and facilitating the activities of the committee. This systematic innovation program has been successful. As you can see, we have been securing seeds for innovation, partnering and working with the startups in various industry sectors. Let me illustrate more about the H2 ecosystem as an example. To make the H2 ecosystem work better, we need to break down the value chain, look closer to find the spots that need innovation, and we try to identify proper partners. As a result, we invested and are working with H2 Pro, an Israeli startup, to develop new H2 production technology. To develop safer H2 storage, we invested and are working with a Swiss startup called GRZ. And for H2 transportation, we invested and are working with a Deutsch startup called Hydrogenius. Now I'd like to highlight our open innovation ecosystem in Tel Aviv which are greatly upgraded by 3 collaboration programs: Quantum Hub, CD Zone, and POC platform powered by Talcar. With Quantum Hub, a joint startup accelerator, we are hosting annual batches dedicated to business units of Hyundai, widening the opportunities for potential collaboration. With the City Zone, we are seeking open challenges for smart cities. On our vehicle testbed, the POC platform powered by Talcar, we validate and showcase our partners' technologies. We are willing to deeply engage within one of the most innovative cities in the world to realize our philosophy of human-centered innovation. We have dedicated our efforts to build and be part of Israel's open innovation ecosystem and will continue to do so. In the well-established innovation ecosystem of Israel, CRADLE Tel Aviv has managed to initiate various projects. We are currently collaborating with Apollo Power, a flexible solar panel startup. Apollo Power is conducting a series of POCs with Hyundai's business units by implementing its solar panel on the hood of Hyundai Sonata and Ioniq 5. The result will be exhibited at the Hyundai headquarters lobby next month. A dynamic wireless charging startup, Electrion, was selected by the recent 01 open call. Electrion's technology is now being tested at CRADLE's POC platform, and its result will be shared with the business units for further collaboration. Investments are also part of our open innovation activities. Last year, we invested in UBI, a startup that develops automated inspection solutions. As a leading player in the field, UBI is now being implemented in our factory in Czech Republic. Here are a variety of innovation programs that you can engage. For the accelerating program, we have a Quantum Hub, where we run 2 batches a year and conduct POCs with internal teams and subsidiary companies like Hyundai Mobis, a large Tier 1, and Globis, a global logistics company. To seek solutions for mobility issues in the city, we have a City Zone, our latest partnership, where we aim to work with the Tel Aviv municipality. For direct collaboration opportunities with HMG's business units, we have a 01 open call, where you can apply to address published challenges. It was a great honor to share our vision and open innovation activities with you. Hyundai will continue to strive in shaping the new mobility ecosystem with you. So please keep an eye on Hyundai's open innovation, and let's push forward innovation project together. Thank you for your time and attention.
Since 2017, Hyundai has been very active in Israel, even during the COVID-19 year. Our very experienced team constantly scouts the ecosystem for relevant technologies, evaluates them together with the business, and invests in some.
Hyundai is investing in Israeli technologies, and Israel is an essential part of our innovation strategy. Hyundai and Kia are loved brands in Israel, and we believe that Israel is a great place to invest in.
Over the last 3 years, we have invested in 16 portfolio companies and 2 funds. And as a strategic investor, we carefully evaluate each of our investments to fit Hyundai's strategy. We are not only an investor, we are a potential strategic customer.
We execute a variety of projects in Israel, Korea, or anywhere else in the fields of energy, automotive, smart city, mobility, and robotics.
CRADLE, and Kobe in particular, proved to be instrumental in creating business outcomes between Autopia and Hyundai Motor Group. I'm thrilled to see how the Autopia-Hyundai partnership helps revolutionize entire industries, starting with mobility. Thank you, CRADLE.
CRADLE helped us through the investment process and the various discussions to secure a large deal with the business unit in Europe. We're already working on the next steps to expand it.
I must say that what CRADLE Tel Aviv team is doing is quite unique in its efficiency. I met CRADLE team at a very early stage of Cardome, and instead of the typical endless and vertical discussions about potential use cases, did a tremendous mileage through the internal corridors in Hyundai to establish contact with meaningful business units. For Cardome, it already resulted in commercial seeds with 2 business units in Hyundai.
Through Hyundai sponsorship, Quantum Hub promotes POC activities with a variety of startups while leveraging Tavua Livnat Group's infrastructure in Israel. We have already conducted several POCs in electrification and AI.
Hyundai CRADLE enables the Hyundai business units and the Israeli ecosystem to develop strategic relationships around breakthrough technologies. Come to work with us to develop the future of automotive and smart mobility together.
Now, Challenge 1, the long journey.
Thanks for joining us. We have a fantastic panel to discuss our first topic, the long journey. It is tough to be an entrepreneur in general, but the sales cycle are even longer in the automotive industry. Our panelists face this obstacle firsthand. Moran Price, the CEO of IRP System, Hagai Zis, the CEO of Autotalks, one of our portfolio company, and Dana Teigman-Koren, Chief Business Officer of Quantum Hub, our partner, which naturally sees a lot of companies which tackle this issue. So my first question to you, can you please elaborate on this long journey challenge and what it takes to be an entrepreneur in the automotive and mobility field? I will start with Hagai.
So, pleasure to be here. Thanks for hosting us. We are proudly members of the CRADLE, and Hyundai is one of the portfolio companies. So you need to have the stamina and persistence. I would say this is the beginning. If you're in for entering the automotive market, you have to have patience. If you don't have patience, don't go in to begin with. But if you do, you're in for the ride of your life. It's a fascinating and ever-changing environment. And I think we recently a part of a revolution in the industry, the whole transition in the industry to more electrification, autonomous, safety, all the things that are contributing to a huge window of opportunity for startups to actually participate in this innovation cycle. So I think it's a fascinating journey in general, and we are proud to be part of this ecosystem.
Moran?
So pleasure to be here. I think if you want to be a startup in the automotive industry, you need to consider safety. It's critical in our business. I agree with Hagai, it's a great timing to join this industry because it's reshaping and reconstructing, and there are tons of opportunities for new technologies to be integrated into this platform that is being redefined. I think this decade is the best one. You need to think about scalability. You cannot build your business case on a niche application because automotive industry works in high volumes. And you need market validation. It's okay if this market validation comes from other industries. It is even in many cases appreciated by the automotive industry. In our case, we started from the aerospace industry and then expanded to the automotive industry, but be prepared to validate the technology. The distance between a good idea and a product that's integrated into a vehicle is very long.
Thank you. Dana?
Just adding to that, I didn't go through the journey by myself, but I hear many startups as part of my job at Quantum. What I do hear is that to reach mass market in this industry is really a very, very long journey. And for that, if you have good investors behind you with, of course, deep pockets, but also that they understand that the industry has a long journey and they push you into the right directions, this definitely can help you overcome these challenges that we all see on a daily basis with meeting startups.
Thank you. What changes do you see in terms of OEM openness for outside innovation? And have you identified any shortcuts for new ventures? Moa.
So for many years, the automotive industry was structured with a very clear supply chain. Thanks to electrification and all the digital technologies that are enabled on top of the electric platforms, this supply chain, I would say it changes from a vertical supply chain to a circle, to a round supply chain. And a new ecosystem is built. Everybody already understands that, and that's exactly the shortcut or the slacks in those traditional supply chains that startups could penetrate through. The transformation is so fast, especially driven by very aggressive regulation for reduction of CO2 emission in Europe and in Asia, that the OEMs and the traditional Tier 1s cannot keep the pace, and everything has to be developed and validated much, much faster. This is what we as small and agile companies are very good at, doing things very fast. And this is exactly, I think, the best entry point, and also what causes the traditional players to become more and more open to embrace innovation and to try to speed us, in a sense, to learn from us how to do things faster.
Thank you. Chagai, same question.
Yeah, so continuing what Moran said, it's I think there is an openness. As we said, there is a huge transformation. I would say the whole introduction of technologies is now going much faster. I think the market was disrupted not just because of electrification, but also because of safety. We do things, the car does things for us today that in the past we never dreamt of, and it's in entry vehicles, not just in premium. So we have safety now, autonomous braking, we have radars, we have cameras. In the future, cars will be connected to each other, so they exchange information, the whole V2X revolution. But essentially, they're open-minded to partner with people who bring value. And people, I mean companies who bring value. So they want to learn, they understand not everything is done. But you have to have, I would say, two split personalities in one company. One personality drives innovation and moves fast, and the other personality makes it high quality. And it's a very, I would say, it's a huge challenge in a startup for in any to scale up from and to keep both, to be both innovative and fast moving. And on the other side, don't fail, right? You know, in automotive, if you deliver something, it has to work. If it breaks the car or participate in safety, it must always work or must always be available. If it doesn't, then you're out. So you have to maintain both mindset in the same company. And I think when they see that you are both innovative and can be relied on and high quality, you have an entrance. And of course, the fast proof of concepts, to partner with them on early stages to fine-tune the product is always critical. And for that, we have companies like yourself or hubs like yourself that help tune the product.
Exactly. Yeah. Just adding to my colleagues, your smartness. I mean, innovation programs are all over. I mean, OEMs and Tier 1s are searching out, expressing, and explaining exactly what are their needs. You can just see through research and identify all the opportunities that OEMs and also Tier 1s are looking. And I think that has changed a lot. I mean, at the beginning, they were more of looking into innovation programs, but they didn't want to express and explain exactly what are their needs. It was more of a secret, and then they open along the way. But I think that these days we definitely see more and more, openness and explanation about what is the need, what exactly, in which stage they are specifically at, and what exactly, innovation or technology would add to their journey. And this is something that is really new, and it's super excited. And I'm happy also to work in this decade, as you mentioned, and to be your partner as Cradle, to do it together.
I would say the big transformation is actually driven because center of gravity of the car is changing in the metaphoric way. It's not only about the chassis and the metals, and even not on the internal combustion engine. It's now about software and electronics. And those are not legacy expertise areas for the automotive industry. this is why we're so needed to bring cars into a very digital, data-driven world. And this openness started as soon as the big industry players realized that.
Yeah. It's the entire journey of the consumers that are changing. This is why, everybody has to change according to the new needs that are, just raising here. I agree with you.
So Dana, the next question is for you. I'd like to ask, if you identify new opportunities in our domain, what are the next revolutions you have identified? Of course, as part of Quantum Hub, we are seeing a lot of startups every day, like us. So what is your take?
I think that we started to just mention it. Again, the consumer journey is definitely changes. We see a change from, owning cars today into more of a shared ride and shared mobility. And this, of course, it's new needs that are being developed. So I think Dr. Huang also mentioned it in his presentation, talking about, the next generation of mobility platforms, how to help, OEMs and Tier 1 add much more value-added services. And this is something that, again, startups are the best, partners to do these kind of shortcuts and learn, as add-on services that the OEM today is heading towards. So I would definitely look at the next generation mobility platforms as it's a big words, but I think that Dr. Juan mentioned the specificness of and this is definitely revisionizing everything that we are doing in this industry. So
yes, we will address it in the next panel as well. So if you were to start your startup today, considering everything that you have learned over the last few years, the long journey, what would you do differently, and what tips would you give to your younger version? Moran.
I would say, don't be afraid to get a no. Sometimes you learn the most from your mistakes and from your failures. Be very optimistic. Stick to the good cause. In our case, we're really driven by cleaning the world from pollution, and it's such a strong driver and motivator to our team, to our employees, to our investors. So we know we need to be very resilient. Sometimes it was a little hard to clear some of the noise and to stick to this goal, but I think if you know you're doing something good and valuable for the society, for the humankind, and you can materialize it, you can productize it, you can reach cost competitiveness, which is critical in the automotive industry, you will succeed.
Hagai?
Yeah. I would start by saying that you need to be absolutely, 200% optimistic that you can succeed. Mm-hmm. If you don't believe with all your heart that you can, it's such a long journey. I always analogize this to a roller coaster. There are so many ups and downs as a startup, and there are probably much more ups and downs in automotive, because you think you're in and then it's just a POC, and then they say, no, it needs to be delayed, we're not ready, and then you have a huge up, and you think you're on the horse, and then something else. So but as long as you're on the trajectory up and you're a strong believer in what you do, then you will for sure at the end goal succeed. And you have to be very, as I think Warren said, you have to be resilient and persistent, and we have the stamina, I call it, as a team to get a punch, and then the next morning come up again and say, okay, so something didn't work, so we start again. Or in our case, we had a different technology that was challenging our legacy, and then we said, okay, we do both. And you have to always change, and if you think that you have won it, think again, because tomorrow something else will come, and you have to be very ready for those ups and downs, and always interact. I think the most valuable thing that I can say to people who start, get feedbacks fast, because you interact with an industry that, yes, they need you, but you also need them. Why? They have been doing cars, I know combustion engines, but those cars drive for 5, 7 years, 10 years. They don't fail generally, and that's the expectation. And so they've learned a lot in what it means to productize something. And that knowledge is something that is really needed for you to tune, again, cost efficiency, go into mass production, quality. And if you learn from them, I think they now are ready to open the doors to work with younger companies and to get to, I think the most proud thing we can do is to be signed that we are inside in every car, right? That we prevent accident. And I really like around the environment. So we, on the other side, save life. So it's the same. You have to have a great cause. And I think that if you have a great cause in the company, the people believe in it, and you have a team that can, be there for the long term, which is a must. So
thank you very much. It was very, very interesting. I know personally the journey that Autotalks did firsthand, and I guarantee you that what Hagai said is a living proof that it's true. And thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Yuri, for having us.
Hyundai is an active investor in the Israeli startup ecosystem. We have already invested in 16 startups in a wide range of strategic domains, technology, mobility, AI sensors, and so forth. As a strategic investor, before each investment, we conduct a POC with the startup in close collaboration with the relevant business units. We invest both early and late stage. And after the investment, we support our portfolio companies through business development and relationship with Hyundai and our local and global networks of startups, OEMs, and VCs.
Voice AI in car is a hard task. Cars are noisy. In many instances, there are several people that speak together. It is definitely not obvious that Hyundai will adopt such an innovative technology in such a short period of time.
Corporate Venture Capital, or CVC team, is located in Hyundai Motor Group's headquarters in Seoul. CVC team is supporting CRADLE Tel Aviv to make a strategic investment to startups that are solving real technological and business challenges. Since its inception in 2018, CRADLE Tel Aviv has been playing an important role in identifying great startups in the startup nation.
UVI's technology enables automatic visual inspection of the exteriors of the vehicle using computer vision and deep learning algorithms. As a strategic investor, Hyundai is now executing a project with UVI in the Czech Republic, in which our systems are implemented in the factory to inspect and test the quality of the vehicle at the end of the line, connecting and solving many details that would have delayed and even prevented us from executing the project.
We at Hyundai CRADLE are looking to establish a long-term collaboration with promising startups. We identify internal needs and bring together business units and innovative startups that solve technology and business problems. We invest in order to strengthen this partnership, and we support the continued expansion in Hyundai.
Now, Challenge 2, Evolving During Slowdown.
Hi again. In the next panel, we will discuss how macro-environmental factors affect the dynamics of the automotive market and how new opportunities have arisen as a result. The automotive global market was badly affected by the pandemic, particularly the production value chain. The demand for automotive has recovered, but we continue to face issues such as shortages of chips and rising shipping costs. As a result of all this turmoil, the strategies of the industry and the pace of innovation have been affected. We would like to hear from our industry experts if and how startups adjust to this new reality. In this panel, we have Shirley Kalush, Chief Strategy Officer of Go2Global, a multimodal mobility provider, Itai Ben-Gad, CEO of our portfolio company, MDGo, that has built a technology for insurance company in the automotive field, Dr. Tal Cohen, the founding partner of Drive TLV and NextQ Ventures that support startups in our domain, and we share a few, and David Oren, the Chief Strategy Officer of UVI, another portfolio company that offers automatic vehicle inspections. So my first question is for David, who is speaking from the United States, and then for the rest of the panel. Hi, David. Good morning or good night. We already miss you.
Hi. Thank you for helping me, accommodating with my jet lag, and giving me something to do in the middle of the night. Good morning and good afternoon to all of you. Thank you again.
So almost 2 years ago, the world woke up overnight to a new reality. The pandemic changed all the rules. David, how did it influence UVI's business, and how did you react?
Yes, well, the pandemic did hit us like all the businesses around the world. We were in big processes with big companies like OEM, manufacturing lines, and other conglomerates in the automotive industry. And suddenly it all froze, all stopped. People stopped answering emails, didn't pick up the phone. Deals that were already signed were canceled, and everybody was just apologizing and pausing and waiting to see what will happen. Well, that's what happened for UVI with the OEM and the big companies. But actually, UVI already started the transition to work with smaller companies and to work in the aftermarket. And this pandemic actually expedited our plans in the aftermarket, where we started working directly with dealers across the US and across the world, with fleet managers in the last mile delivery fleet and those kind of businesses that actually flourished in the pandemic because everybody needed their car fixed and everybody needed their packages delivered on time. So those kind of things, in the end of the day, actually helped us, our business, and just expedited our already made plans to move into the aftermarket.
Thanks for sharing this experience with us. The manufacturing lines were hit not once but twice. The pandemic had a side effect. The automotive industry has suffered from silicon chip shortage since a couple of months ago. Were you as a hardware supplier affected by this crisis?
Well, of course, we were affected by the chip shortage crisis, and we had to adjust and change our manufacturing times and delivery times accordingly, like the rest of the world. But that's on the hardware side. On the product side, we were actually able to help in this crisis, because what happened in the entire automotive world is people still needed cars, but they didn't have new cars. So the used car markets actually flourished and grew up. UVI was able to provide the right solution for automation of used cars operation and marketplaces. So in the end of the day, although it hit us in the manufacturing, it helped us in the business. And we hope to be able to continue helping different automotive new initiatives with our technology.
Thank you, David. You can go back to sleep. It was a pleasure to see you again.
Thank you very much for having me. And yeah, I'll go back to bed now. Again, thank you very much.
Okay, so now we will address the rest of the panel. So almost 2 years ago, the world woke up overnight to a new reality. The pandemic changed all the rules. Okay, so we are seeing a major shift towards mobility services on the one hand, and yet the world had literally stopped during the lockdown. On the other, surely, as some parts of the world are slowly opening up, what are the opportunities and risks for Go to Global?
Sure. Actually, the pandemic gave a lot of opportunities to go to, because what you can see is that a lot of people were afraid to actually travel by public transportation with a lot of other people and get ill from the disease, as well as with carpooling or ride-hailing. So it actually gave opportunities to self-driven shared mobility, where you are your own driver. So you're taking the moped, the kick scooter, or the car to actually move from a place to place in a safe environment. So on that aspect, you can see that self-driven shared mobility grew a lot. And actually from last year to this year, we doubled our revenues. Oh, wow. So we were one of the companies that actually came very successful out of this crisis. And the other thing is that cities actually converted a lot of car lanes, for example, to bike lanes, and really promoting micromobility, giving credits for people to buy or use shared mobility services. So really there is a big push to self-driven shared mobility, and this is only going to grow more and more.
Thank you. So Tal, Drive and Cradle share quite a few portfolio companies. We have seen some companies seize new opportunities, while others had to delay some plans and some had to pivot. Can you provide insight into what your portfolio companies are facing?
Sure. So if you look at obviously this very abnormal time, it really shook the industry. And as it shook the industry, there's some period of time by which uncertainty hits. So uncertainty hits the market, then uncertainty hits the startups because they are responding to the market. Once you have more clarity in the market, which is, I would say, still very uncertain, the market actually become very focused. What they want to do, what they don't want to do. That's also reflected on the startups as well. Mm-hmm. So in some delay, the startup actually woke up to, I would say, a little bit clear reality, because it's either work or doesn't work in a more clear way. So, if you were before pandemic, you may hear, softer answers. You hear a lot of yes, maybe, let's test first. But I would say when there is more clarity, then you hear, no, I'm not interested, or I want it much more. So if you're an entrepreneur or a startup, it actually helps you. So if you look at our portfolio, you will see some clarity with them too. Let's say, hey, you know what? It's more clear no. So I'm just going to go no to automotive. I go to some other areas, okay? Or if I'm in the automotive, I know where to focus in the automotive. So I think that all in all, you can see many factors, but that's one phenomena that I think worth emphasizing. And it goes through like a silver lining in our portfolio.
Yeah, so Itai, I guess you can relate to what Tal just said. So while Hyundai believed in MDGO technology from the beginning, you have learned quite a bit about the go-to-market challenge to our industry and adjusted your strategy accordingly. So what did you learn, and what type of companies can succeed in penetrating automotive?
Yeah, so obviously, thank you so much for having me. But I think that from a macro industry point of view, the slowdown that is mentioned indeed exists, or actually from a micro. If you're looking at a single startup, there is a slowdown. But from a macro perspective, and that's why I relate very much to what Tal just mentioned, this pandemic is actually a huge accelerator from our point of view. It just accelerated everyone's understanding of who belongs to what. And if you're asking me, what is the type of companies that would work better for the automotive industry or would work better with car manufacturer, I would say that either you build the engine or the chassis or the wheels, or you support in any one of those processes by maintaining or helping with the manufacturing process. Other than that, I think that this time really helped the car manufacturers to concentrate on their core business and what do they want to do, and really help them to understand what they don't want to do. And that's, from my point of view, was some sort of a blessing, you might say, because I think it really saved many people 5 to 7 years and a lot of money. So,
thank you. So this is a question for all of you. So one of the areas where the industry is breaking the head is on data monetization. So do you believe that the ecosystem can drive new use cases and economic value from data? Let's start with Tal.
So, I mean, it's good that you asked this question because we have one example here to the
absolutely,
right of me
absolutely.
that is exercising data monetization. But if I'm allowed, maybe I'll go outside the box because I leave the box for him. The data monetization is actually a little bit, I think, outdated term, okay? Because it's you need a lot more than data to make money, okay? You need to understand the business, you need to understand the customer, you need to understand the ecosystem you're stepping into. And in fact, you can actually maybe model what steps you need to take in order to move from data to money, but you have to go through value, you have to go to partnership, you have to go to business, you have to go to technology add-on, and only then you get to data. So by saying data monetization, you're actually very much underestimating and undervaluating what you need to do in order to make a business out of data, okay? That's in a nutshell. Now maybe I let Itai tell the story. Maybe you can instantiate what I mean in this example. Okay?
In my opinion, there's a misunderstanding of people what data is and what it's worth. People might think that data equals Google equals money. Hence, data equals money. But actually, it doesn't. At least to my experience and to my opinion, when monitoring data, you must have three key elements. You must have proprietary data. If there's another way to obtain that data, that's really a problem. You must have a product that the customer can really evaluate, can really be beneficial for him. And that's also something that is fairly tough. And the third thing, you must have a financial engine behind that. And you must understand where the money is going to come from. Because, and if you look at companies like Facebook or Google or others, they have all the three. They have a customer that has a benefit from the product, and there is a huge financial engine behind that. And ergo's data equals money, but that's not the equation. There must be something in the middle.
So last question, Shiri, you will start. So behaviors have evolved during the pandemic. Which of them, in your opinions, are here to stay, and how should it impact your longer-term vision?
So, as I mentioned before, a lot of the streets were converted to bike lanes. More and more people are starting to use micro-mobility, are starting to use shared mobility and on-demand mobility. Because today, a lot of people are actually working from home part of the time. So they don't need always a car with them, right? Car is the most expensive resource that you have after a home, and you only use it 4% of the time. So a lot of people are actually shifting to on-demand types of services. And we've seen this growth all over Europe. We're seeing this growth also in Israel. I think this mixed, work-to-home balance is going to stay. I know that in the States, a lot of people are still working from home, and it's hard to bring them in. In Israel and in Europe, a lot of people are coming back to work and looking. And again, shared mobility is definitely on the rise, especially when you're driving by yourself. Okay.
Thank you. Tal, do you want to give a short answer?
Sure. I'll try to make it real short. I think that the world is experiencing a major shift. Okay, and when you ask about behavior, the derivative is the behavior. Okay, the shift is, I'm talking about the mobility world. It's moving from a mobility without accountability. That's what happened the last 100 years. Okay, and I think that we are stepping into accelerated because of this period we're experiencing now, to what is much more a sustainable mobility. So it's driven by forces and mindset of the organization, government, regulation, coupled with the digitalization, to really headed by the electrification effort to make the mobility totally different than what we used to see. And then you can derive behavior out of that. And our startups, like what we are doing, are just going to follow. Okay? But it's a major shift. If you give me half an hour, I can explain more.
Thank you so much for your time and being here. So thank you for participating.
Sure. Thank you.
Thank you.
In order to keep Hyundai at the edge of technology, we carry out a wide range of collaboration with startups and our partners, Quantum Hub, Tavora Livnat, Talcar, Citizen, and Colmobil. We identify trends and execute POC projects in the fields of automotive, mobility, energy, and many more.
Hyundai Motor Group is committed to work with the ecosystem in order to find innovative solutions to the challenges of the future in strategic areas. CRADLE Tel Aviv is part of a global network of innovation centers. Israel is a key pillar in our open innovation strategy.
Quantum Hub is Tavora Livnat Group's innovation center, focusing on the fields of automotive, logistics, and smart industries. Hyundai CRADLE is one of our leading and active partners. Tavora Livnat Group is one of the leading logistics companies in Israel, with over 60 subsidiaries in both Israel and Europe. Together with Hyundai, we are collaborating with mature technologies that are ready for POCs with business units of Hyundai and subsidiaries of the Tavora Livnat Group.
We recently joined the Quantum Hub program. Together with Hyundai CRADLE, we built a POC platform, which is a Kia Niro, equipped with a testing hardware, and we can now conduct POCs in Israel with local startups. We are running several projects, such as Electrion, which is a dynamic wireless charging from the road while driving the car, and Arbe, which is a 4D radar technology.
In one of the projects, we executed an innovative project with Apollo Power, in which we embedded a flexible solar panel in the bonnet of a Hyundai Sonata in order to boost battery range.
CityZone is a living lab for urban mobility and smart city programs, in which our startups and partners can run experiments in a real-life environment. In this program, Hyundai and the Tel Aviv-Yafo municipality will be able to define and address joint challenges in the future of smart mobility.
Open innovation is a core activity of Hyundai CRADLE. As a strategic investor and partner of startups, we strengthen the relationship between the CRADLE and the business units and gain better assurance of the technologies we choose to invest in. We help the business units to initiate their innovation activities by consulting, scouting, supporting budgets, and project management. We have built the infrastructure to conduct POCs in Israel and elsewhere. Contact us for more details.
Now, Challenge 3. What investors look for.
Hi everybody, I am Lior Elkan. For those who don't know, I am an investment manager at the Hyundai CRADLE TLV team. As we understand from the last great panels, starting ventures in our industry is challenging. To succeed, you need funding, in some cases massive financing, to overcome all these challenges that we discussed. Startups in the last sessions kindly shared precious insight with us. At this session, I would like to ask the investor, specifically the financial investors, to share their points of view. We are honored to have Idan Katz, a partner and CTO at Mobilion Ventures, Eyal Niv, a managing partner at Pitango, and Meir Dardashti, a principal at Maniv Mobility. Hi. So the Israeli auto tech ecosystem is acknowledged as a healthy and mature one worldwide. What started as a trend several years ago is today a mature market profession, and we see more and more venture capitalists specializing on this domain. I would like to ask you, what has changed in your approach over the years regarding investing in the automotive sector? Eyal, what is your take on it?
First of all, I want to thank you for inviting me here. It's a great honor, Lior. And I want to thank Hyundai for being a partner with Pitango, Dr. Chi, who envisioned all of this, and Dr. Wang, who came here and partnered with us. It's amazing. A lot of things have changed over the last couple of years. First and foremost, I think mobility and automotive have become exciting for us, but also exciting for the younger generation. I think it's amazing to see how much change we are seeing in transformation. I think the two major changes that we are seeing is that the automotive itself, electrification, autonomous, and all of that is changing how we are using the vehicle itself, but also mobility at large, whether it's public transportation, multimodality, and all of that, with exciting companies. We started with Mobileye, but we are now moving into other companies that are building great technologies like Via, Optibus, that are building new services, which is amazing to see.
Yes. So, Idan, what has changed in your approach?
Well, I think that for us, the major change is the time to market. OEMs order a lot of time to market, and that's a very slow pace. Well, new technologies are being involved and being introduced to the market, and new services, and they need to go faster to the market. This is exactly why Avi Feldman, Eyal Zbeda, Gail, and Thierry formed Mobilion Ventures, and that is to create a unique approach to the market through the aftermarket. That in specific allows companies to reach the automotive industry through the aftermarket and does not exclude them from going into the OEM cycle, so they could do the two things in parallel. So therefore, we see it as a triple win.
Okay, thanks. Meir, what has changed in your approach?
So I have to say, I think that what we've seen in the last couple of years is that a lot of the deep technology problems in automotive specifically, and we sit at the seed stage, have already been very well funded. And so it may be that we're not seeing it yet in the market, but the solutions exist. And we're seeing a lot of really interesting innovation, specifically around how do we implement that technology, the business model changes that might not be deep tech, but have a huge impact on mobility broadly and specifically on the automotive industry.
So Meir, you say that you seek maybe more business. I just wonder, does it mean that we don't have opportunities in deep technologies such as LiDAR, sensor, and so on?
Oh, not at all. We've invested in deep tech. We invest in business model innovation. I think all we have to do is acknowledge that there's been so much investment that's gone into some of these fields that if you're coming out with another LiDAR sensor now, you have to prove that you're better than the LiDAR sensors that already exist, which 5 years ago just wasn't the case. So I'm not arguing against deep tech. I'm just saying that I think that a lot of the unsolved challenges at the seed stage revolve around those business model questions that sit around the deep tech.
Okay, thank you, Meir, for this important clarification. We used to think that Israel has been a technology superpower and that deep tech has always been our advantage. So I understand your points on new opportunities for startups that are more business-oriented than pure technology-oriented. Mm-hmm. But what is the relevance of Israeli startups in this regard? Idan, what do you think?
Well, I would argue that deep tech and business-oriented startups are actually two different dimensions. And what we should look for is the intersection between those two dimensions. I could think of portfolio companies that we have that are heavily into deep tech, AI, vision, deep tech, but have a very profound business case in damage inspection, which is a very clear and viable service. And maybe another portfolio company that is heavily invested in lithium-ion batteries. That's a very deep tech-oriented company, but they have a very clear vision and a strategic approach to market, which is a service providing is the battery safe and the performance of the battery, etc. Mm-hmm. So therefore, I see this, and in fact, in my due diligence, this is what I look for. I look for this intersection.
Yes, the combination between technology and business.
Exactly.
You mentioned the inspection Clickins, which is also a startup in Quantum Hub.
Exactly.
It's a great example for it. Yeah. Meir, the same question to you. Maniv is a global VC. Is Israel still relevant for you?
100%. 100%. What we say is if we see three of the same kind of startup, and one of them happens to be in England, one of them happens to be in the US, one of them happens to be in Israel, we will never choose the worst startup because it happens to be in Israel. Having said that, it's more comfortable for me, it's more comfortable for the fund. We want to invest in Israel, and we've made investments in Israel in the last year, and we'll make more investments this year as well. I think the Israeli entrepreneurs changed. I think the stereotype of the Israeli entrepreneur being focused only on deep tech isn't true anymore. Yep. Israelis know the automotive sector better than they did a decade ago. And they know some of the business nuances of the sector better than they did a decade ago. So it should be no surprise that as the market moves, the entrepreneurs will move as well.
Yes, actually, Eyal mentioned it before, some big companies. So today we see that Israeli companies can address any aspect, deep tech or not. So Eyal, what are the leading trends you have identified in the automotive industry?
So I mentioned some of them earlier on. First of all, we're closely watching the electrification of everything, from the multimodality. If automotive used to mean driving a car, now it means a lot of things. You have your scooters, you have your electric bikes, you have everything is being electrified and multimodality. That's a big thing. And now everything interlaces into working together for us. As a transportation. People don't want to own the car, they want to use different vehicles in order to get from point A to point B. They also want to have it interlaced into some sort of technology. So what MoveIt has done, I think, for the younger generation today, they're walking around and they know exactly what is next. They know exactly how they'll get from point A to point B. And I think that's very important. So it's core technologies and it's usability as well. Last but not least, I think it's important for sustainability. How we impact the world. How do we stop polluting the world? And I think those three things are very important, and we continue to invest in them.
Thanks, Idan. What trends have you identified?
Well, I tend to agree with Meir. If I would pick only two, I would go with electrification.
Okay.
And now, especially with the COVID, it's all about sustainability. And we are on a road. We are on a road to zero emission. We're not there, but we are definitely on a road to zero emission. And the second thing I would say is data. A car is a moving hub of data. There are enormous amount of things that we could do with this data, and we start seeing this now with new services being emerged. Am I driving a safe car? Maybe future maintenance, maybe preventative maintenance just in time. There are a lot of sensors that we are utilizing, and those metadata over those sensors can become a vital or very important services in the future. So I see this as a very big trend.
Okay. Meir, what with you?
I feel like the easy answers were taken. You know, it's hard to go last on a question. But listen, I think there's one more nuance I'd add here, which is digitization. It's that you think about communication being digitized. The PC came out 30 years ago. 30 years later, there are still industries being digitized. That's just starting to happen in mobility and in automotive. The implications of everyone having a connected supercomputer in their pocket and every single vehicle on wheels, from a stupid little scooter all the way up to the highest end Genesis vehicle, having a modem inside. I mean, the business implications and the technology implications of that are only now starting to be realized. We're maybe 1 decade into what started taking three decades in communication, which is the digitization of everything that moves.
Certainly.
Thanks, interesting. My last but not least question is, may you share with our audience how you collaborate with Hyundai? Meir, let's start with you.
Well, I think this event is proof that we collaborate. You know, Hyundai is obviously a close partner, and there's stuff we do in public. There's also a lot of coordination behind the scenes, coordination on deal flow, on research, and you know, many other things. And it's a partnership we're very proud of, and happy to be here, but also happy to work with you on investments and on other kinds of research.
Eyal?
You know, Meir was first, so he took the easy part. But I'll say one thing. First of all, it's you know, I think 1 + 1 makes 3 here, and it's not only for us, but rather for the portfolio companies and for companies that we are looking into. You know, when we can connect between a company and Hyundai, a leading OEM, it makes a lot of value during the process. If I have to look forward, you know, what needs to be done, I think is just more. You know, we need more OEMs, but specifically from Hyundai, we want to see you guys here more active and find different models to bring more value to the local ecosystem. And I think in time there'll be a lot of value for Hyundai as well. So that's a big picture.
Yes, I can mention that we also have with your both funds some co-investments. Yeah. So Idan is a younger VC, Mobilion. How you collaborate with Hyundai?
Well, first of all, I want to say that the CRADLE team in Israel is a very energetic team, and at least I see them a lot in all the events, so kudos for you. And I would say, you know, facts count. So for our, I would say, small portfolio, out of 6 companies, we have click-ins who've just graduated the Quantum Hub and are now moving into a phase of POC with Hyundai. We have another company, Golian, which is just successfully finished 2 POCs with 2 different business divisions. And we have coming up now under some build-up cognition monitoring system. So I think that 3 out of 6 is impressive.
Yeah. Sounds promising. So thank you, Eyal, Meir, and Idan. It was a fascinating session, and it is a pleasure to partner with each one of you. So I would like to add that we at Hyundai encourage startups and VCs in the audience to engage with us once you have a mature offering that we can validate. Please bear in mind that a financial opportunity is not a trigger for us to invest. We first seek the strategic fit for our business, and therefore we explore the technology and this collaboration intensely. And it takes a long time. We want to engage with you early enough to be ready for a potential strategic investment later on. Thank you all. Back to you, Yariv. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you for attending our event, and thank you to the panelists. I hope that you have benefited from the participation. Our objective was to raise your awareness to the challenges that we all need to overcome when innovating in our industry. I would like to summarize a few key takeaways from today and the messages from us. 1. It takes years for new technologies to be implemented in the vehicle. You may choose to start with a peripheral or an aftermarket solution that will be easier to integrate, test, and take to market. 2. Think hard whether you have developed enough competitive advantage. The first wave of innovation yielded several very strong players. You must ensure that your technology brings a significant breakthrough that cannot be ignored. 3. In the second wave of innovation, technology is not enough. You must think in terms of business value, experience, and cost effectiveness in order to move the needle. This is a mindset that our local ecosystem should adopt. 4. The OEMs and Tier 1s have an army of strong engineers. You may think they are not as advanced or agile as your startup, and you may be right, of course, but do not underestimate the internal capabilities of your customers. At Hyundai, we develop very advanced models. I own a Hyundai Sonata, I can tell you from experience, but think in terms of value that you can bring the internal teams. 5. Since it may take time to penetrate the OEMs, some other verticals may enjoy your value: insurance, mobility, payments, commerce. Think outside the box, but do not forget the OEMs. As you generate the value, OEMs will be more intrigued. 6. Working with us requires patience. This is a marathon, not a sprint. We may be slow, but we are very serious. If the door is opened, you have one shot to impress, so make an impact. The business will not compromise on your professionalism and your attention. 7. We are here to support you and to guide you in your journey within Hyundai. My email appears at the bottom of the page. Thank you again for joining us. I wish you great success in your business, and I welcome more discussions with us.